Joining us now on the line, we have Jashwin Baijoo, a tax attorney at Tax Consulting South Africa. Jashwin, thank you for your time. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Very excited to be on your show.
Now, SARS is under collection pressure, and they have grown rather fond of appointing third parties like banks to recover outstanding tax debts. Tell us more about this.
Yes. So if you'll remember in May with the Commissioner's press release noting that at that stage, the fiscus was facing an unprecedented shortfall of around 285 billion. And once this is read together with something like the Finance Minister's earlier statements in his February budget speech with regards to SARS collection measures, it must be noted that SARS are not taking any chances with regards to recovery due to the fiscus caused by this COVID pandemic. So whether there's a chance of tax non-compliance or by the very nature of the transaction itself, the taxpayer as well as the fiscus are not entirely sure of the stance. This is certainly not the time to test SARS, as they've demonstrated that they are under very strong and competent leadership, and they're determined to increase revenue collections by any means necessary. And that includes something like the third-party appointment. So, for example, SARS will instruct a bank where the taxpayer is owing, for example, R1 million. If that 1 million or even a part of that million is in the taxpayer's bank account, SARS can instruct that bank and collect that money, which is paid directly to SARS. And look, this is not the only collection measure that SARS have implemented. They've really stepped up their game when it comes to any sort of collection measure, including the attachment of movable and immovable property. So the taxpayer's vehicles, it could go to the extent of the taxpayer's home. And at this stage, they're really not pulling any shots.
People may be shocked to hear that. You open up your banking profile and you see a big chunk of the money, if not all of it, gone, and SARS has taken it. From what you're explaining, it's all above board. They're well within their rights. You have no recourse. If you're owing, you're owing.
So with regards to this, there are certain procedural requirements that must be followed by SARS. And if these are not complied with, then there is recourse available.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of compliance, what are common mistakes that are made by taxpayers where they then end up falling foul of SARS regulations?
So in terms of compliance, common mistakes made are taxpayers may forget to submit a return, or a return is submitted incorrectly. And upon verification by SARS, this is picked up and an additional assessment is raised, which the taxpayer may or may not be aware of, based on how often they check something like e-filing. So in the instance where this additional assessment is raised, the additional assessment will have a payment date. So in most cases, we find that these additional assessments, the amount of the additional assessment is far greater than that of the original assessment which was issued by SARS to the taxpayer. And it's generally, with regards to compliance, it's either non-filing of returns, and if SARS picks that up, then they issue notice to the taxpayer. Alternatively, it's erroneous filing of returns, whereby it could be something as simple as a calculation error, or the taxpayer ticked the wrong box for where a certain type of income should go. And as soon as SARS picks up on these things, they begin raising further assessments, or they'll audit, or they'll verify returns. And that's where the whole compliance issue comes in. And that is where most taxpayers actually do fall short.
With the COVID situation decimating the economy, is the tax situation going to get more tricky in your opinion?
Look, I wouldn't say tricky. However, I would say that it's going to be more challenging for taxpayers to continuously remain compliant and remain on top of things, especially with SARS upping its collection powers and the measures that SARS will go to. The extent it has gone beyond anything we've previously seen, whereby previously SARS would hesitate before attaching a taxpayer's vehicle, as that's their mode of transport, to get to work and to earn an income. But now we're not seeing that hesitation anymore. And in terms of the tax situation itself, as much as, yes, we are in a COVID pandemic and it's decimated the economy, SARS has implemented COVID-19 relief measures which are available to taxpayers. So, for example, provisional tax, just as one example. The deadlines for the filing of provisional tax returns have been extended, and SARS has also granted apportionment discounts whereby smaller portions need to be paid periodically. Another thing that we have actually encountered quite frequently in the last 3 or 4 months are two situations which are payment arrangements known as a debt compromise or a debt deferral. In these cases with the debt compromise, we negotiate with SARS whereby they actually permit the taxpayer a discount on their total tax liability. So, for example, if the taxpayer's liability is sitting at 1 million rand, and from that liability, only 500,000 of that is capital, the rest is interest and penalties that have been raised due to continuous non-compliance, SARS has been quite understanding on that front, and that's more from the perspective whereby they are of the mindset that we're getting something now instead of possibly getting everything later. And as much as money is coming into them, that is basically their aim, whether it's less than the total amount or whether it's the total amount broken down into installments, which is the case with a deferral payment, whereby it's either spread over multiple months, or alternatively, it gives the taxpayer a few months of a break, so to say, to recover funds and try and get together the tax debt amount, in which time SARS will not implement any collection measures such as the third-party attachment.
All right, Jashwin, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.